Imagine this. It's a Tuesday night in late October, the kind where the air hangs heavy with the scent of rain-soaked asphalt and unspoken regrets. In a mid-sized city that's supposed to be a fortress for progressive ideals, think tree-lined avenues, artisanal coffee shops, and murals preaching unity, the unthinkable happens. 1. Seat on the city council slips away, not in a nail-biter swing district, but in the heart of a place that has voted blue since the days when flip phones were cutting edge. Just one seat, but in the marbled halls of Washington, the whispers turn to roars. Democratic operatives burn the midnight oil, scrolling through precinct data like it's a crime scene. On the other side, a quiet network of Trump-aligned organizers crack open beers not in triumph, but in the steely calm of hunters who've just spotted the herd turning direction. If you are tuning in because you love the spectacle of elections, the attack ads that hit like gut punches, the post-midnight victory speeches laced with defiance, then buckle up. This isn't your standard horse race recap. This is the story of how a single urban council flip in Austin, Texas, isn't just a local quirk. It eased the spark in a powder keg that he's been filling for years. A voter uprising against skyrocketing crime, tent cities sprawling like open wounds, and a sense that the party's promises of equity have morphed into a daily grind of fear and fatigue. And here's the kicker: this one grab could cascade into a Republican stranglehold. On key battlegrounds, handing Trump's inner circle the levers to rewrite everything from border security to federal grants. We're talking a power play so surgical, so patient, it makes Machiavelli look like an amateur. To get why this feels like the ground shifting under your feet, we need to rewind, not to some dusty history book, but to the raw pulse of 2023, when Austin, that weird, wonderful oasis of live music and tech bros, started cracking at the seams. Picture it, a city booming with transplants chasing the American dream, only to wake up to headlines screaming homicide rate spikes 50% in 6 months, carjackings up 30%, smash and grabs turning shopping into a gamble, families double locking doors that used to swing wide open for block parties. The stats aren't abstract. They're etched in the faces of single moms hustling 2 jobs, retirees scanning shadows on their evening walks, baristas who used to banter about SXSW now trading tips on self-defense apps. The Democratic machine, long unchallenged here, responded with the playbook: more social programs, defund the police, echoes softened into reimagined public safety, and a barrage of equity task forces, noble on paper, right? Aimed at root causes: poverty, mental health, systemic biases that have scarred generations, but on the streets. It landed like a lead balloon. Response times ballooned to 20 minutes for 911 calls that used to get there in 5. Homeless encampments, born of compassion, spilled into parks where kids once chased fireflies, now dodging needles and pleas for spare change. Voters, the diverse mosaic of Latinos running to carious black entrepreneurs building generational wealth. White-collar millennials glued to their Pelotons started asking the same question in hushed tones at grocery checkouts: when does safety become a right, not a luxury? Enter the Republicans, not the national firebrands with their megaphone rallies, but a cadre of local tacticians who'd been tilling this soil since the 2020 election hangover. These weren't outsiders parachuting in with briefcases of cash. They were neighbors, a former cop turned community organizer, a small business owner who'd lost his storefront to a looting spree, a young mom whose toddler's playground got shuttered by an overdose scare. They didn't scream about law and order like it was 1988. They whispered strategies over backyard barbecues, door-to-door chats that felt more like checking in on an old friend than a pitch. Hey Maria, I know the council's pushing for more shelters, but what if we funded 50 new officers first? Get the chaos off the streets so we can actually help folks get housed. This wasn't accidental, it was engineered. Flashback to 2022, a little-known PAC, seated with mid-6-figure donations from Trump family allies. And Silicon Valley libertarians tired of remote work, nomads fleeing blue cities, zeroed in on municipal races. They poured resources not into TV blitzes but into hyper-local ops billboards in Spanglish targeting immigrant enclaves hit hardest by gang violence, TikTok reels showing real-time dashcam footage of hit and runs juxtaposed with council meetings where resolutions on climate justice drowned out calls for more patrols. Data nerds crunched anonymized crime reports, voter rolls, even Uber surge patterns to map frustration zones, neighborhoods where 911 hang-ups were spiking because folks had stopped believing help was coming. By election night 2025, that groundwork detonated, the seat in question District 4, a progressive stronghold hugging the Colorado River, home to UT Austin's idealistic undergrads and eco-conscious nonprofits. The challenger, Elena Vasquez, a 38-year-old prosecutor with a no-nonsense stare and a backstory of growing up in East Austinese rougher blocks, edged out the incumbent by 1,247 votes. On the surface, a squeaker, dig deeper, and it's a masterclass in micro-targeting. Turnout among working-class Latinos jumped 18%. Independents who hadn't voted since 2016 showed up in droves, and even a sliver of young progressives, the ones who protested police brutality but now whispered about walking their dogs at night, crossed lines. Exit polls? Crystal clear, 62% cited public safety as their top issue, up from 28% in 2022. Vasquez didn't win on charisma alone. She won on the promise of results, boots on the ground today, so our kids can dream tomorrow. Cut to dramatic reenactment, shadowy figures in a nondescript office, laptops glowing, pinning red dots on a digital map of Austin. Voiceover intensifies, music swells with urgent strings. Now, if this were isolated a Texas tale for the Lone Star faithful, we shrug and move on, but here's where the national veins start pulsing. Austin isn't just any city. It's a bellwether, a petri dish for the urban dilemmas ripping through Atlanta, Portland, Philadelphia, even pockets of red-leaning Phoenix, that one seat. It unlocked $2.7 million in state matching funds for community policing initiatives, a direct pipeline from Governor Abbott's office to Vasquez's desk. Suddenly, Austinese Council now with a 4-3 moderate tilt green lights partnerships with federal grants tied to border security enhancements. We're talking drone surveillance pilots, joint task forces with ICE on fentanyl flows, even incentives for vets to join local forces. It's not flashy legislation. It is plumbing, the kind that fortifies Republican narratives on immigration and drugs without a single tweet from Mar-a-Lago and the Ripple. Oh, it's seismic. Democratic pollsters in DCR chains smoking through their spreadsheets, watching identical tremors in real-time focus groups. In swing state Ohio, a Cleveland council race teeters on the same knife edge, with crime stats mirroring Austin's, homicides up 42%, property thefts through the roof. GOP operatives, smelling blood, deploy the Austin blueprint, door-knocking scripts tailored to steelworkers' fears of opioid-laced street corners, mailers blasting. Incumbent soft on crime votes next to mugshots of repeat offenders, early indicators. A 15-point swing in internal polls among union households, the kind that used to be Democratic bedrock. But let's peel back another layer, because this power play isn't just tactical, it's existential. Walk the corridors of the RNC's strategy war room, and you'll hear whispers of the Vasquez model, named after our Austin victor. It's a 12-month playbook. Start with empathy audits, surveys, not on policy wonkery, but on raw fears. Like, what's the one thing that keeps you up at night? Layer in earned media, not paid ads, but op-eds in local rags from crime victims, viral podcasts with ex-gang members turned reformers. Cap it with trust bridges, bipartisan town halls where Republicans invite progressive counselors to co-sponsor non-controversial wins, like park cleanups that double as cleanup of encampments. It's judo using the opponent's momentum against them. Progressives cry dog whistle, but voters? They see neighbors finally listening. Zoom out to the emotional core, and it hits harder. This isn't abstract ideology. It's the quiet desperation of families fraying at the edges. Take Javier, a 45-year-old mechanic in Austin's South Side, fictional name, but his story's echoed in 1,000 affidavits. Javier voted Democrat his whole life, drawn to the party's immigrant roots, the promise of ladders up from the barrios. Then his cousin got jumped outside a bodega, wallet gone, spirit shattered. I called the cops, he told a canvasser, voice cracking over coffee. They said they'd follow up. 3 weeks later. Nada. Vasquez's team found him through church networks, not cold calls. They didn't sell slogans. They shared blueprints how her office would prioritize restorative patrols that pair officers with social workers, hitting crime without alienating communities. Javier. He knocked on 47 doors that weekend, flipping his block. These hooks, the human threads, are what make the model stick. Republicans aren't just winning seats. They're reclaiming souls. Data from the 2024 cycle shows it. Among non-college educated voters under 50, approval for tough but fair policing flipped from 41% Democratic to 58% Republican lean in urban cores, where Biden eked out wins by threads. Post-2002 for audits reveal a 22% erosion in enthusiasm. For progressive prosecutors, the Chesa Boudins of the world, ousted in recalls from San Francisco to Philly, Why? Because when a shopkeeper's livelihood evaporates in a hail of broken glass, equity feels distant. Survival feels immediate. Climax build. Screen splits left side. Chaotic protest footage from 2020. Right, serene family picnic in a reclaimed park. Music crescendos to a thunderous drumbeat. Fast forward to the climax, and it's not in Austin's chambers, but in the C-SPAN glow of Capitol Hill. That single seat cascades upward. Vasquez's victory emboldens Texas Republicans to fast-track a Safe Cities Act, funneling $500 million in federal block grants to urban areas that adopt proven deterrence models. Suddenly, moderate Dems in vulnerable House districts think Texas's 15th or California's 47th. Face primaries from the left screaming sellout and generals from the right hammering weak on chaos, Trump's orbit. They pounce. Packs like Make America Safe Again flood airwaves with montages. Austin before grainy chaos versus after smiling patrols high-fiving kids. It's cinematic warfare, turning local grit into national gospel. The fallout. Projections from nonpartisan outfits like Cook Political Report now shade 5 more urban-adjacent House seats as lean Republican, up from toss-ups, Senate implications. In Georgia, where Atlanta's crime blotter rivals Austin's, a similar council flip could peel off black moderates, narrowing Warnock's path, and don't sleep on the governor's mansions Virginia, Nevada, even blue-leaning Michigan, where mayoral races are testing waters for 2026 executive bids. If this model replicates and early donor inflows suggest $150 million earmarked for it, Trump's allies aren't just holding the House. They're architecting a veto-proof Senate, a judiciary stocked with originalists who greenlight state-level crackdowns on sanctuary policies. But hold on, because true power plays always carry shadows. Democrats aren't folding. They're evolving, or at least scrambling to. Insiders leak memos from Shu Marie's shop. Operation Hearth, a counteroffensive blending compassion with competence. Think $1 billion pushes for holistic safety nets, pairing mental health hubs with rapid response units, piloted in Oakland and Detroit. Leaders like AOC pivot hard, trading viral takedowns for kitchen table roundtables. We hear you on the fear, let ease fix it without trading our souls. It's gritty, unglamorous work recruiting. Ex-prosecutors like Vasquez, but for the blue team, mining data on success stories from community-led interventions that slashed recidivism 35% in pilot programs. Yet the emotional toll? It's the real undercurrent. This flip isn't victory porn for one side. It's a mirror for all of us. When voters bolt and 2025 Pew data shows urban independence shifting right by 14 points on safety alone, it is not betrayal. It's abandonment. Families like Javier's aren't ideological warriors. They're survivors bartering dignity for peace. Republicans tap that vein masterfully, but at what cost? If tough tips too harsh, if patrols become profiles, trust fractures anew. Democrats risk irrelevance if they cling to purity tests over pragmatism. The hook. That gnawing question, in a nation where 80% of Americans say crime is a top worry. Gallup, 2025, can we bridge the gap between hearts and headlines? Resolution. Music softens to reflective piano. Visuals shift to dawn breaking over a bustling city square. Diverse faces sharing coffee, nodding in tentative accord. So where does this leave us, staring down the barrel of 2026? Not in despair, but in determination. This Austin upset that one seat, that one surge of ballots. It's the canary in the coal mine, chirping warnings of an electorate done with division, hungry for delivery. Republicans savor the strategy, but govern with grace. One overreach, and the pendulum whips back. Democrats embrace the ache. Those voter stories aren't indictments, they're invitations to rebuild, for the rest of us. Get granular, volunteer at that next council forum. Grill your mayor on response metrics, not manifestos. Register that neighbor who's tuned out, because power doesn't consolidate in vacuums. It flows to those who show up, who listen without lectures, who turn frustration into fuel. Think of it like a family dinner gone sideways. The aunt who is furious about the rising grocery bill, the cousin eyeing the empty chair where opportunity used to sit, yelling across the table. Futile, passing the potatoes, asking what if we grew our own. That's the start of mending. Politics is that dinner, scaled to 330 million souls. And right now, the Vasquez model proves one thing: persistence, packaged with empathy, flips tables. If this breakdown lit a spark, made you see the chessboard behind the chaos, or rethink that next ballot, hit that like button, drop a sub for more unfiltered dives, and comment below. Is this urban revolt the dawn of a new conservative era, or just a blip in the blue city's blues? Your take shapes the script we're all writing, because here's the truth no spin doctor can touch. Elections aren't won in echo chambers. They're claimed in the quiet conversions, the one-on-one reckonings, the willingness to evolve before the wave crashes. Trump's allies smell total control? Maybe, but democracy's genius is its reset button, always one conversation, one vote, one seat away from swinging back. Stay vigilant, stay vested, stay in the fight. The city's waking up, and so should we. Thanks for writing this out. See you in the next play.